Good evening. This is VK3EKH, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria with the regular Friday night broadcast, coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South, broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kHz in the 80 metre amateur radio band, and via the Melbourne television repeater, VK3RTV Digital Channel 1, and also via my YouTube stream. And just type in VK3CSJ in YouTube and look for the live indicator. Hopefully that'll hang in tonight. And we've also got a email address for any signal reports. You can send email to vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com. We also have a Discord chat window. You can log into Discord and look for Astronomy Chat Room and get on board, so to speak. I didn't bring my computer across, so I'm not looking at the Discord window again, so I might do that in a short moment. Anyway, good morning or good evening, everybody. That's about right for somebody who got to bed at about 4 o'clock in the morning. I trust everybody is okay on this Anzac weekend, long weekend, and I trust that everybody is okay here on the 26th of April. Now, I hope the audio level also on YouTube is not overdriving, so hopefully everything will be all right in that area tonight. Okay, it'll be a short session tonight. I think I say that every Friday. But we have an article on how many stars die in the Milky Way each year, to exploding star close to Earth, would it make for a very bad day, to Space Force tests small satellite jammer to protect against space-enabled attacks. Interesting little report. And also a little quick report, an update on Voyager, and followed by over 1,000 new additions to our solar system were hiding in Hubble's archived data, it seems. We also have a up-to-date report from Tamitha Scove, our space weather woman. She's just released a 10-minute report in the last day or so it covers this weekend nicely. So we shall present another solar report from Tamitha, which will be great. All right, so having said all that, I'll go into the usual blurb on the Astronomical Society for those that might be tuning in for the first time, and so that you get a bit of an idea of what is going on as such. The Astronomical Society of Victoria was founded in 1922, comprises over 1,600 members throughout Victoria, the other states of Australia and overseas. Membership of the Society is open to all persons with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy, to disseminate the knowledge of the science, and to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, except in January, the latter being held on a Saturday night. Meetings start at 8 p.m. in the Mullier Hall, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is located adjacent to the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available in Burwood Avenue, Dallas Brooks Drive, and the surrounding streets. Admission is free and visitors are most welcome. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at Melbourne Observatory. Receipt of the ASV's magazine Crux, containing articles, news, observing notes and the like, and the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a recently restored photoheliograph are also located at the observatory and are accessible to members. The Society also has a number of 200mm reflectors available for short period loan, so members can try before they buy. Regular Society Club night meetings are held at the Melbourne Observatory in the Ellery Suite, Burwood Avenue, opposite the Shrine of Remembrance. Members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there in order to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. These instruments include a 508mm equatorial reflector and a number of smaller reflectors. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. There are a range of instruments available for members to use, the larger two only with appropriate training, and these range from 300mm to 1000mm in aperture. Also located on the site is an 8.5 fully steerable radio telescope, which members can access with involvement in the radio astronomy section. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Other areas of interest that members can participate in include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy, computing, cosmology and astrophysics, historical studies and research and astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors are provided in the yearbook. Further information may be obtained by visiting the ASV's website at www.asv.org.au. That's www.asv.org.au. And notifications of events are given in the Crux Extra Bulletins, which is an email publication that comes out every couple of weeks to keep members updated on what's going on. Please note that the ASV will conform to all government health directives. Thus, ASV events may be required to be cancelled, moved or postponed. If you wish to contact the ASV, you can write a letter to the Secretary, address it to the Secretary, Astronomical Society Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. That's the Secretary, Astronomical Society Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. And yes, so like I say, the ASV's website is the main area for more information and contact details for various section directors and all that. So this broadcast has been running since 1988, and not exactly every Friday night, but pretty much there. And broadcast was kicked off initially by VK3DRW. A mental relapse on his name right now. It just goes to show that I'm getting old. I know the guy. I know him very well. It's truth. How embarrassing. I know his call sign, VK3DRW. It's truth. God. It'll come to me when I'm not thinking about it. Anyway, he could be listening tonight. Russell, that's it. See? I just needed that little trigger on something else for that to work. Don't you hate it? Anyway, we're getting into the groove. That's the main thing. All right, so there it is. Okay, and yes, that's what I was saying. So yes, Russell Ward, VK3DRW kicked it off, and the call sign VK3EKH is actually the initials of the then president of ASV in 1988, Kenneth something Harrison. That's it, Kenneth. So I remember that, Kenneth Harrison. So, but I am interested to see if I can get a hold of VK3 ASV. So if you're listening, VK3 ASV, it'd be interesting to grab hold of your call sign if you're prepared to free it up. Anyway, that's another story. All right, it's nearly the end of the month, so next week we should have Sky Notes from Tanya Hill, the resident astronomer at the planetarium, Science Works. So usually the first 20 minutes of the program is taken up with Sky Notes. So in the meantime, let's have a swig of coffee. And that's it. We're off. Okay. Now, let's see where we can start with. Courtesy of astronomy.com. How many stars die in the Milky Way each year? You've probably posed that question to yourself from time to time. Well, let's see what they say here. This is published April 25, 2024. The grand total of stellar deaths in our galaxy is about 52 per century for one every 1.9 years. The grand total of stellar deaths in our galaxy is about 52 per century, or one every 1.9 years. Before diving into the astronomy here, we first need to acknowledge that we are borrowing the word die, which really belongs to biology. While we can try to apply the concepts of life and death to astronomy, so that stars burning fuel to produce energy are considered alive, and those that are not are considered dead. The analogy is not perfect, and there are edge cases where it all falls in a heap. And there's a picture here of a star dying. I'll just bring that up very briefly, just in case you haven't seen one before. And I'll bring up my little insert image here. Oops, wrong one. There's my insert. Yeah, that'll do. So I can still wave at you watching. Getting back to the article. In fact, what you're seeing there on the screen is they say here that when stars die, they leave one of two objects behind. Massive stars explode as supernovae, creating remnants of gas and dust like the Crab Nebula. So in the shot on screen right now is the Crab Nebula, and its Messier reference is M1. That said, there are predominantly two ways stars die: normal, low to intermediate mass stars like our Sun, after swelling through their red giant phases, throw off their outer layers and dwindle away as white dwarf stars. This pathway to stellar death is trod about once every 2 years in our galaxy. For stars more than 8 times heavier than our Sun, death becomes something of a spectacle, heralded by the explosion of a core collapse or type 2 supernova. Core collapse supernovae happen about once every 60 years. They occur much less frequently than white dwarf deaths because these massive stars are much rarer than their low and intermediate mass counterparts. And this brings our grand total of stellar deaths to about 52 per century, or one every 1.9 years. However, we have not encountered for brown dwarfs. Those masses fall between those of stars and planets. Brown dwarfs can't sustain long-term nuclear fusion or hydrogen, but they can, for a fleeting stage, shine by burning deuterium, an isotope of hydrogen, or in some cases lithium. This continues until the limited fuel runs out and brown dwarfs eventually become dark objects made of cold gas. Nothing like cold gas. However, what they lack in mass, they make up for in sheer numbers. Our galaxy is teeming with these objects, and accounting for their life cycle would swamp the numbers above, bumping us up to something around 1 to 3 deaths per year. But were these brown dwarfs ever sufficiently alive enough to die? And that's for the philosophers to decide. So there it is. How many stars die in the Milky Way each year? And of course you have to be reasonably lucky to be looking at the sky at the same time when something like that explodes and we happen to see the light finally reach us. Now, I was just about to say you're tuned to VK3EKH like I normally do, but I have actually finally brought across to my vMix program the appropriate announcements, and I hope this kind of works. Let's see. I might have to press a button on the mixer for this. Let me just check.
You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South.
All right, I'm not sure how well that worked, but anyway, that was a little professional announcement by Ralph, VK3LL, recorded quite a while ago. And I think that might have been too much level somewhere. But at least I think we're still hanging in there. And yes, all right, we'll try that again a little bit later on. Okay, having said that, okay, the next article we have here is about exploding stars, in fact. And there's an image here that I can bring up, a GIF image that's repeating itself. All right, and I'll just bring that up again. Oh, I've lost my little rotating thing too. There we go. And I think that's it. Okay, we're happy with that. On the vision side of town. Truth. Yes. An exploding star close to Earth would make for a very bad day. Published April 4, 2024. Supernovae in the Milky Way are rare, but not unheard of. Keeping in the same theme. Stars like the Sun are remarkably constant. They vary in brightness by only 0.1% over years and decades. Thanks to the fusion of hydrogen into helium that powers them, this process will keep the Sun shining steadily for about 5 billion more years. But when stars exhaust their nuclear fuel, their deaths can lead to some pretty decent pyrotechnics. The Sun will eventually die, but growing larger and then condensing into a type of star called a white dwarf. But stars more than 8 times more massive than the Sun die violently in an explosion called a supernova. Supernovae happen across the Milky Way only a few times a century, and these violent explosions are usually remote enough that people here on Earth don't notice. For a dying star to have any effect on life on our planet, it would have to go supernova within 100 light years from Earth. The author here says that he's an astronomer who studies cosmology and black holes. He says, in my writing about cosmic endings, I've described the threat posed by stellar catalysms such as supernovae and related phenomena such as gamma ray bursts. Most of these catalysms are remote, but when they occur closer to home, they can pose a threat to life on Earth. Very few stars are massive enough to die in a supernova, but when one does, it briefly rivals the brightness of billions of stars. At one supernova per 50 years, and with 100 billion galaxies in the universe, somewhere in the universe a supernova explodes every hundredth of a second. The dying star emits high-energy radiation as gamma rays. Gamma rays are a form of electromagnetic radiation with wavelengths much shorter than light waves, meaning they are invisible to human eye. The dying star also releases a torrent of high-energy particles in the form of cosmic rays, subatomic particles moving at close the speed of light. Supernovae in the Milky Way are rare, but few have been close enough to Earth that historical records discuss them. In the year 185 AD, 185 AD, a star appeared in the place where no star had previously been seen, and it was probably a supernova. Observers around the world saw a bright star suddenly appear in 1006 AD. Astronomers later matched it to a supernova 7,200 light years away. Then, in the year 10,054 AD, Chinese astronomers recorded a star visible in the daytime sky that astronomers subsequently identified as a supernova 6,500 light years away. Johannes Kepler observed the last supernova in the Milky Way in 1604. So in a statistical sense, the next one is actually overdue. At 600 light years away, the red supergiant Betelgeuse in the constellation of Orion is the nearest massive star, getting close to the end of its life. When it goes supernova, it will shine as bright as a full moon for those watching from Earth, without causing any damage to life on our planet. And there's another image here that I can swap between to change things. And this is quite a good example of a remnant. What you're seeing on the screen there right now, with me over the top of it, is called the Butterfly Nebula. The Butterfly Nebula, imaged by the Hubble Space Telescope. The star of stars at its centre are responsible for the nebula's appearance. In their death throes, they have cast off layers of gas periodically over the past couple thousand years. The wings that you see in this image, the wings of the NGC 6302, are regions of gas heated to more than 36,000 degrees Fahrenheit that are tearing across the space at more than 600,000 miles an hour. Getting back to the article. If a star goes supernova close to Earth, or close enough to Earth, the gamma ray radiation could damage some of the planetary protection that allows life to thrive on Earth. There's a time delay due to the finite speed of light. If a supernova goes off 100 light years away, it takes, of course, 100 years for us to see it. But astronomers have found evidence of a supernova 300 light years away that exploded 2.5 million years ago. Radioactive atoms trapped in sea-floor sediments are the telltale signs of this event. Radiation from gamma rays eroded the ozone layer, which protects life on Earth from the sun's harmful radiation. This event would have cooled the climate, leading to the extinction of some ancient species. Safety from a supernova comes with greater distance. Gamma rays and cosmic rays spread out in all directions once emitted from a supernova, so the fraction that reach Earth decreases with greater distance. For example, imagine two identical supernovae with one 10 times closer to Earth than the other. Earth would receive radiation that's about 100 times stronger from the closer event. A supernova within 30 light years would be catastrophic, severely depleting the ozone layer, disrupting the marine food chain, and likely cause mass extinction. Some astronomers guess that nearby supernova triggered a series of mass extinctions 360 to 375 million years ago. Luckily, these events happen within 30 light years, only very few 100 million years. But supernovae aren't the only events that emit gamma rays. Neutron stars' collisions cause high-energy phenomena ranging from gamma rays to gravitational waves. Left behind after a supernova explosion, neutron stars are city-sized balls of matter with the density of an atomic nucleus, so 300 trillion times denser than the Sun. These collisions created many of the gold and precious metals on Earth. The intense pressure caused by two ultra-dense objects colliding forces neutrons into atomic nuclei, which creates heavier elements such as gold and platinum. A neutron star collision generates an intense burst of gamma rays, and these gamma rays are concentrated into a narrow jet of radiation that packs a big punch. If the Earth were in line of fire of a gamma ray burst within 10,000 light years, or 10% of the diameter of the galaxy, the burst would severely damage the ozone layer. It would also damage the DNA inside organism cells at a level that would kill many simple life forms like bacteria. That sounds ominous, but neutron stars do not typically form in pairs, so there is only one collision in the Milky Way about every 10,000 years. They are 100 times rarer than supernova explosions. Across the entire universe, there is a neutron star collision every few minutes. Gamma ray bursts may not hold an imminent threat to life on Earth, but over very long timescales, bursts with inevitably will hit the Earth. The odds of a gamma ray burst triggering a mass extinction are 50% in the past 500 million years and 90% in 4 billion years since life has been on Earth. But that math, it's quite likely that a gamma ray burst caused by one of the 5 mass extinctions in the past 500 million years, astronomers have argued that a gamma ray burst caused the first mass extinction some 440 million years ago, when 60% of all marine creatures disappeared. So, as a recent reminder, the most extreme astrophysical events have a long reach. Astronomers are reminded of this in October 2022, when a pulse of radiation swept through the solar system and overloaded all of the gamma ray telescopes in space. It was the brightest gamma ray burst to occur since human civilization began. The radiation caused a sudden disturbance to the Earth's ionosphere, even though, the source was an explosion nearly 2 billion light years away. Life on Earth was unaffected, but the fact that it altered the ionosphere is sobering. A similar burst in the Milky Way would be 1 million times brighter. So, we do live in a very violent universe, and we have to thank our lucky stars that we are living on a planet the way it is, and that we have to take care of our environment one way or another. Now, I was about to say you're tuned again, but I'm going to run this other one now. I've got 2 of these little voice announcements, And to do this, I think I think my level into the 80 meter transmitter is a little on the high side. I should have checked it later, but let's just see what happens.
Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South.
Okay, that sounds okay, doesn't it, guys? I reckon it's very professional of Ralph to do that for me. I'm finally glad to finally have those two little videos, two audio tracks running. Anyway, yes, you are definitely tuned to VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, coming to you from the studios at VK3CSJ Narre Warren South, as exactly Ralph said. All right, so time is 10:32, and my next article, if I can just cue it up, and I'll go back to my other camera. No, I don't want that one. This one, that's it. Come on, go across. Come on, go across. Doesn't want to go across. Isn't it funny how it does that sometimes? Oh, I'll get my next article queued up. Space Force tests. That's it. There's a picture of a little small dish antenna here, so I'll see if I can bring that up. Where's this image? There it is, and that should go across. Do it again. No, I don't know why. But I've lost a few things here actually. Just bear with me a sec. My ID, on-screen ID, has disappeared as well. I think that's it there. So where are we? Ah, there we are. Okay. Well, I've got the image on the screen. I've brought back my ID, but I've lost the camera. Ah, there I am. Okay. It's a finger problem. Too many mouse clicks going on. All right. This article, courtesy of space.com, published 2 days ago. Space Force tests small satellite jammer to protect against space-enabled attacks. Such a system could disrupt adversary satellites overhead that might be surveying or targeting US forces on the ground. The US Space Force is testing a new ground-based satellite jamming weapon to help keep the US military personnel safe and from potential space-enabled attacks. The tests were conducted by Space Training and Readiness Command, or STARCOM, which is responsible for educating and training the US Space Force personnel. The satellite jammer is known as a Remote Module Terminal, or RMT, and, like other jammers, it is designed to deny, degrade, or disrupt communications with satellites overhead. Typically, though, overloading specific portions of the electromagnetic spectrum with interference. Now, that would be great, wouldn't it? Mass interference. The RMT is small form factor system designed to be fielded in large numbers at low cost and operated remotely, according to Space Force statement. Specifically, the RMT will unlock the scale to provide counter-space electronic warfare capability to all of the new Space Force components globally. Lieutenant Colonel Gerrit Dullman said in a statement, meaning it can be used from virtually anywhere to deny adversaries the use of satellites orbiting overhead. Details about the test are scarce, But Space Force statements explain that 2 RMT units were installed at separate locations and controlled by a third. The jammer was evaluated according to metrics such as system latency and target engagement accuracy, as well as for how secure its communications were. And there's another picture here that shows the soldiers hard at work, although I'm sure it's a set-up image. In this image here, you see Guardians and an airman during a test of the Space Force's Remote Modular Terminal RMT in Colorado Springs on April 4, 2024. I guess you'd have to assume it's a real. The need for new space-based counter-space technologies has been stressed by Space Force leadership in recent months. At the Space Foundation's annual Space Symposium in Colorado Springs in April 2024, Chief of Space Operations for the US Space Force Gen B Chance Salzman said the service must harness the benefits of technology, innovation and emerging capabilities if we're going to be able to outcompete our competitors, or Space Force will lose, the Joint Force will and the Joint Force will lose, and the US will lose, they say. The RMT builds on that need for new technologies by providing a satellite jamming system that can be deployed quickly and almost from anywhere. And it was developed by the Space Rapid Capabilities Office, a small, unique office tasked with rapidly developing first-of-their-kind operational space capabilities to the US military. According to a slide deck the Space Rapid Capabilities Office presented to industry in October 2023, these jammers are small transportable systems that can be in place in both garrison and austere environments, meaning that they can be used whether infrastructure is present or not. Ultimately, the system could be presumably deployed and operated in a battlefield-type scenario, disabling or disrupting links to adversary satellites overhead that might be surveilling or targeting US forces on the ground. So, there it is. The continued rush to have a war. We humans never learn from it, do we? All right. Next article. What time is it now? It's 21:02. I'll run Timothy's space weather report after this one. And we do have a picture here of Voyager, so I shall bring that up on the screen as well. There it is, coming up. Good old Voyager. Artist's impression. Well, it's exactly what it looks like, but there it is. Okay. It's back. Voyager is making sense again after months of gibberish. 23rd April 2024, space.com. Sorry, sciencealert.com. NASA's Voyager 1 probe, the most distant man-made object in the universe, is returning usable information to ground control following months of spouting gibberish, the US Space Agency announced on Monday. The spaceship stopped sending reliable data back to Earth on November 14, 2023, even though controllers could tell it was still receiving their commands. In March, teams working at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory discovered that a single malfunctioning chip was to blame and devised a clever code fix that worked within the tight memory constraints of its 46-year-old computer system. Voyager 1 spacecraft is returning usable data about the health and status of its onboard engineering systems, the agency said. The next step is to enable the spacecraft to begin returning science data again, Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was mankind's first spacecraft to enter interstellar medium in 2012 and is currently more than 15 billion miles from Earth. Message sent from Earth take about 22.5 hours to reach the spacecraft. Its twin, Voyager 2, also left the solar system in 2018. Both Voyager spacecraft carry golden records, 12-inch gold-plated copper discs intended to convey the story of our world to extraterrestrials if they should ever come across the Voyager probes. These include a map of our solar system, a piece of uranium that serves as a radioactive clock allowing recipients to date the spacecraft's launch, and symbolic instructions that convey how to play the record. The contents of the record, selected by NASA by a committee chaired by legendary astronomer Carl Sagan, include encoded images of life on Earth, as well as music and sounds that can be played using and actually includes a stylus. Their power banks are expected to be depleted sometime after 2025, and they will continue to wander the Milky Way, potentially for eternity, in silence. So yes, Carl Sagan has a lot to answer for if we have aliens attacking the Earth with dragging the Voyager 1 behind them. Greetings from planet Earth. When you hear the soundtrack of that golden record, one of the first things you do hear is greetings from planet Earth. Now, I could be wrong, but it's trivia, a little bit of trivia here. But the person who says greetings from planet Earth is Carl Sagan's young son. Just thought I'd mention that. But I could be wrong on that. Someone needs to confirm it. Okay, having said all that, let's now segue into Tamitha. So I shall bring her rather lovely little cartoon caption up on the screen to get her video ready to go. Space with Woman, Dr. Tamitha Skov with a 10-minute update on what's happening over the last few days and what's happening over this weekend. So stand by for Tamitha. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel.
We have some fast solar wind, some mini solar storms, and a whole lot of flaring going on. The stories and more in the news this week. If you want to learn how weather from our star causes impacts at the Earth that shape the future of our world, join Professors Dr. Jenny Meehan, Michael Cook, and myself as we guide you through a space weather certificate program like no other. To enroll in the Space Weather and Environment Science program offered at Millersville University, go to millersville.edu/SWEN. It's weather for the 21st century. This forecast also sponsored in part by CW Ops. Our sun is letting us know what solar maximum is all about. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, look at all the active regions in Earth view. There are no less than 18 active regions on the Earth-facing disk, and that means a lot of solar flares. In fact, the ones that have been leading the fray have been this kind of cluster of solar active regions right here. These have been giving us mainly R1 to near R2 level radio blackouts, but along with region 3636, 3639, 3646, and now region 3654 jumping into the fray. We have been getting not only a lot of solar flares, but also little mini solar storms being launched. Luckily, most of the solar flares have been short-lived and impulsive. They're not the big, long-duration flares, so they're more of a nuisance, but they sure are causing a lot of noise on the bands. Now, on top of that, you can see we have this big coronal hole. This is going to be rotating into the Earth strike zone here over the next couple days, and it's going to be sending us some fast solar wind. But you can actually see a bit more activity right here. If you take a look at this filament, you can barely see this filament right here. Well, early on the 23rd, this launches right there in that big poof. You also saw another eruption there, and there was some stuff going off here in the north. This launched as kind of a cluster of solar storms. Though this region, it looks like some of the stuff is actually going to go south of Earth, but we might have a slightly Earth-directed component. It's kind of hard to tell from the coronagraphs because there really wasn't that much of a halo. But we are going to be expecting an enhancement with the fast solar wind. We're going to be getting this from this set of coronal holes here over the next couple days. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you can expect to start seeing a show around the 26th, and it could last possibly through the 28th. And now taking a look at the sun's far side, we can no longer use stereo A imagery to look at the sun's far side because stereo A is looking at the same side of the sun as we are. So we have to simulate the far side by looking at HMI and AIA imagery of about 2 weeks ago to get an idea of what active regions might be lurking on the sun's far side. And as you can see, region 3628 and 3633, these were the regions that gave us a little bit of activity the last time they were in Earth view, and they look like they might be surviving their far side passage. In fact, as we take a look at our JSOC HMI helioseismology far-sighted monitor, look at all of the dark regions. These are all the regions that are actually rotated into Earth view right now. They're on the front side. But as this yellow patch, which is the sun's far side, rotates further around, you can see things are pretty calm in actuality. It looks like region 3630, 3628, and then you'll see region 3633 also looking like it's surviving their far side passage. But we might have a few other small regions that are coming, that are emerging, but it doesn't look like there's any really heavy dark spots on the sun's far side. So overall, that means that we're going to have some reasonable calm on this far side over the next week. And as regions rotate into Earth view, it doesn't look like we're going to have any big flare players. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, enjoy the fact that you're going to get a bit of a reprieve. The noise on the band should go down. The radio blackout should calm down as well. And enjoy, because we do need a little bit of a break. Now, switching to our moon, we are passing through the full moon phase on our way to the third quarter, and by the 30th, the moon will still be about 60% illuminated. So you night sky watchers, if you want to catch those dim objects in the sky, like, I don't know, maybe some aurora, you're going to have this bright companion, so you're going to need to check your local rise and set times. Now, switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the fast solar wind from that coronal hole that's going to be rotating in through the Earth strike zone, along with the potential for some small mini solar storms. So at high latitudes, NOAA's expecting major storm conditions. In fact, NOAA's giving us about a 60% chance of major storm starting around the 25th. This should calm down maybe just a little bit as we pass through some fast solar wind around the 26th. But then on the 27th and the 28th, we could get that filament eruption that's mainly going to go south of Earth, but it could give us a little bit of a glancing blow right around the 27th. So aurora photographers, man, you really do have some decent chances to get some sporadic aurora views over the latter part of this week and early into next week. So be sure to keep your batteries charged. Now, as we take a look at mid-latitudes, well, we are expecting active conditions for the same reasons. We're going to have that wind watch sitting right around the 25th, but we do have about a 20% chance of a minor storm, and that will then calm down just a little bit as we move through the 26th. But once again, because of that filament eruption, we're expecting to see maybe a little bit of an enhancement starting around the 27th or into the 28th. So aurora photographers, if you're at mid-latitudes, you could get just a little bit of a show, but it's going to be very fleeting. So yeah, only if you're dedicated should you chase. Now, switching to your solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week, we do have a lot of active regions in Earth view, and quite a few of them are big flare players. So we expect to have a lot of noise on the bands this week, but things will be quieting down. The solar flux will also be dropping. As you can see, we're over in the 200s right now, but that could be dropping down to about 175 or so by about mid next week. So expect a lot of radio blackouts at R1 to R2 level. In fact, NOAA's giving us about a 75% chance of R1 to R2 level radio blackouts over the next 3 days, with about even a 20% chance of X-class flares at R3 level radio blackout. But those chances are diminishing. In fact, as we get to mid next week, things should be getting pretty quiet. We will still have a chance for the radio blackouts, but they won't be nearly as bad, and that will continue to calm down as we move through next week as well. Now, switching to our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook over the coming week, everything is in the green right now when it comes to radiation storms, except for the radiation storm risk. We are sitting at the D1 normal range. That's at flight level 360 for you aviators. It's also the S0 quiet range for everyone else. But right now, NOAA's giving us about a 20% chance of an S1 to S2 radiation storm, and that's because we have a lot of those big flare players rotating to the sun's west limb, and that's when that risk for radiation storms always seems to rise. And we will continue to have this risk over the next 3 days. Then you'll start seeing things begin to calm down as that big cluster of regions rotates to the sun's far side, but we won't be completely in the clear. That's probably not going to happen until at least midweek, if not the latter part of next week. So all you aviators and flight crew, just stay on your toes. We don't have any issues right now, but make sure you check those ICAO advisories often. So the space weather this week is definitely showing us some solar maximum potential. We do have a coronal hole that's going to be rotating in through the Earth strike zone here over the next couple days, and along with a couple mini solar storms and a filament launch, we could get some decent aurora, especially at high latitudes. So you aurora photographers, be sure to keep your batteries charged if you're at high latitudes, and if you are at mid latitudes, well, you could get a little bit of something, but only if you're dedicated should you chase. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, I know you've been dealing with these radio blackouts almost non-stop, but luckily they're just short-lived. They're intermittent little things, and they're probably going to be calming down here over the next couple days and definitely calming down in through next week. So just hang in there and things will get better on the dayside radio bands. And now for you GPS users, well, you know, we do have that solar storm, the fast solar wind, and some possibility for aurora over the rest of this week. So you could be having some issues, especially if you're on the night side anywhere near aurora. Plus, we also have those radio blackouts that could be giving us a little bit of GPS reception issues on Earth's day side as well. So just kind of hang in there for the next few days. Stay vigilant, especially near dawn or near dusk or anywhere near aurora. And if you're a UAV flyer, be sure to calibrate your magnetometers often when that fast solar wind hits. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Tamitha, and all very good indeed. I try to make that as professional as possible. Dearie me. Anyway, I need a haircut, don't I? All right, this is VK3EKH, and time is what is it? It's that time, 6 minutes to 11, and I shall now go into spaceweather.com. I've brought my Discord across, so I do have a laptop just sitting here, and there's the gold. Look at that. Steve has brought up the gold-plated record that's on Voyager 1 and 2. That's it. You can get replicas of that gold record, I've noticed, but they're not really good because they don't really offer the soundtrack. It's just what it is it's just a fake gold disc that gives you the graphics that are imprinted on the record, but it doesn't include an actual vinyl recorded track, no audio. So I'd rather get the actual album gold plated as well. Anyway, there it is. All right, let's head over to spaceweather.com and let's see what's happening with spaceweather.com website, apart from what Timothy has just told us all. But it looks like this weekend is going to be pretty good from a HF operating point of view. Well, there might be some blackouts well, you'll just have to see how it goes. All right, I'll bring across the latest Disk of the Sun for those watching YouTube and the TV repeater and the Discord stream. Thanks, Richard. So this on the screen right now is in full HD. It's the current Disk of the Sun. If we were able to look at it right now with appropriate safety gear, the solar wind is currently at 333 kilometres per second. It is blowing a gale at a density of 2.35 protons per cubic centimetre. The current sunspot number is 196. The radio sun, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimetres, the flux density is currently at 199 solar flux units. 199 solar flux units. And the planetary K index is currently 2, which is considered quiet. The 24-hour max is also 2.00, which is considered quiet. And I usually show a little graphic of that too, which is where that information comes from. I don't think I brought it across for tonight. No, I didn't. Doesn't matter. The next image is the current auroral oval over the Antarctica, and there is significant activity occurring as we speak. There might be just enough for some auroral glow on the horizon in certain places. I've seen some pretty good images lately too, taken from the mainland. Pretty amazing what's been filmed or photographed. But that's the current auroral ring over Antarctica, which has got a tendency to be heading towards the mainland. Tasmania, New Zealand, there would be definitely seeing something on the horizon. Continuing on, the Space Weather reports that a geomagnetic storm watch, one or more CMEs, could graze Earth on April 26 to 27 this weekend, sparking a minor G1 class geomagnetic storm, as Tanya was saying. The CME were hurled into space earlier this week by explosive activity in sunspot supergroup AR 3638 to AR 3650 in the sunspot. On the sunspot you can see on the disk there, if I go back to the disk. So it's definitely something afoot this weekend. If you are monitoring HF, particularly the higher shortwave bands, let's say around 15 metres, there's a very good possibility that you will hear sunspot activity as an increase in the noise floor. And if you've got a spectrogram running, you'll see also increases in noise there. It's as a result of sunspot activity, solar flares. Global auroras on Mars. Oh, this is interesting. And I'll bring up this graphic right now. There it is, coming up on the screen. Global auroras on Mars. Earth isn't the only planet with auroras. Mars has them too, on a global scale, and you can actually see it in the image on the screen as we speak. Mars is experiencing its greatest level of auroral activity in the past 10 years, says Nick Schneider of the University of Colorado's Laboratory of Atmospheric and Space Physics, or LASP, LASP. In February alone, there were 3 episodes of global auroras, an aurora hat trick we've never seen before, says Nick. Orbiting high above Mars, NASA's MAVEN spacecraft recorded the auroras on the 3rd and 4th of February, the 7th and 10th of February, and the 15th to 16th of February this year. This animation that you're seeing at the moment shows the last 2 of these episodes in a looping time series. Spaceweather.com actually predicted some of these events, prompted by SOHO coronagraph observations of CMEs heading towards Mars. Your predictions came true, says Schneider. Schneider leads the team for MAVEN's Imaging Ultraviolet Spectrograph, or IUVS, the instrument that detected the auroras. All the purple pixels in the animation are a false colour representation of the aurora's ultraviolet glow. Martian auroras probably have a visible light component too, but MAVEN's cameras are not able to see them. Here on Earth, we would love it if auroras were global. Seeing the northern lights with equal ease from the equator and the poles would check off a lot of bucket lists. Be careful what you wish for, though. Martian auroras can be global because the red planet has almost no protection from solar storms. It lacks an Earth-like magnetic field, so particles from the sun penetrate its atmosphere with ease everywhere. And there's actually another graphic here. I'll just bring up this graphic as per the article. The dramatic auroras of February 2024 were caused by SEPs, SEPs, solar energetic particles. Solar energetic particles, SEPs. SEPs are accelerated by shockwaves within approaching CMEs. When they strike Mars' atmosphere, they cause it to glow. Mars is currently getting hit by roughly 1 to 2 CMEs every month, bringing a hefty supply of SEPs, says Rebecca Joltz, a member of the MAVEN Solar Energetic Particle CEP instrument team at UC Berkeley Space Sciences Lab. However, a CME doesn't actually have to hit to be effective. SEPs coming in sideways from remote CMEs can light up the skies as well. Schneider and Joltz are looking forward to the months ahead. Solar Cycle 25 is far from over, and we expect many more CMEs to strike, Schneider says. This will give us a chance to study how solar forms affect the atmosphere of Mars, a key role of the MAVEN mission. It's the kind of fun we've been waiting for. Bless their hearts. And there's another little image here, courtesy of spaceweather.com, and I shall bring this up right now. What we're looking at here, for those watching YouTube, 20 seconds later, and of course the RTV repeater, which is in real time, thereabouts. A sunspot supergroup is what you're seeing here. A sunspot supergroup. A remarkable supergroup was formed in the sun's southern hemisphere, just south of the equator. 5 sunspots are crowded together in close proximity within shifting areas of magnetic connection. The behemoth is crackling with solar flares, and this, when they refer to crackling with solar flares, this is the very stuff that you can hear on shortwave. Amateur astronomer Andy DeVee sends out his movie from a place in Spain, and he says, I filmed the complex area consisting of 5 separate active regions between 10 hours and 12:35 hours UTC on April 24. He says several C-class and almost 5 M-class flares can be seen in this image. The 5 sunspots are AR 3638, AR 3643, AR 3645, AR 3647 and AR 3650 bumping together. They have jointly produced 3 to 5 M-class flares per day, all week long. This activity is expected to continue as the supergroup rounds the western limb of the Sun, where for a day or so it will magnetically connect to Earth via the Parker spiral, which is a debris, especially energetic protons, guided by the spiral to Earth, could cause radiation storms on April 26 to 28, as Tanya was saying. In fact, this spiral that they're referring to was mentioned in the last report from Tamitha. She had a little graphic on screen talking about that, which was most entertaining. Okay, I think that's about it from spaceweather.com. Apart from the fact that as of the 26th of April 2024, there were 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids. So many things that could take out this planet. We are definitely living by the skin of our teeth. All right, that's it. It's 7 past the hour. I shall conclude this week's broadcast on 80 metres and via the VK3 RTV repeater, digital channel 1. If you wish to know, if you live in the Melbourne area and you wish to learn and know how to receive the Melbourne television repeater, please send me an email to vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com, and I will forward you necessary information on how to receive RTV repeater. It is quite simple. In a nutshell, the TV repeater is located just behind the police academy on a 100-foot tower, and it's broadcasting at 100 watts of DVB-T signal, digital format, DVB-T2, high HD, high definition, at 100 watts in vertical polarization. So, in a nutshell, any set-top box that's capable of manually entering in 445.5 megahertz, excuse me, will be able to receive the repeater. So it's good coverage. It's the signal is seen as far as Turadon, down there at on the coast near French Island, and it is seen in Geelong and as far as Ballarat and many other areas. It's a good high location, Mount View. So just thought I'd mention that. Okay, it's a bit of a plug for the old repeater. Anyway, all right, let's go across to 3541 kilohertz and see if there's any stations wishing to check in tonight's broadcast and see how we go. Just before I do, let me just check Discord. I do have brought across my laptop, and I can now see the Discord channel. I've got to enter my password, of course. Password. All right, so a very pleasant good evening to Robert, VK3GOD, who's waving at me. It looks like we have Astrophiz there as well. A very pleasant good evening to Astrophiz. G'day, Brennan. And also somebody by the name of Certified Acoustics. Don't know who that is. Let me see if I can just go back up the page a bit. Oh, hang on a sec. Just bear with us a tick. Right. I was in the wrong part of the book. I've dropped the page right down now, so I'm now currently seeing who's there. I was looking back several days ago, I think. Okay, Steve's there. David, resident Mount Burnett Observatory member, and of course Rob is there too. VK3GOD, Steve again, and Richard VK3VRS, and that looks like about the list for tonight on the Discord window. I like the VK3LR voiceover, so do I, and it's taken me ages just to get it across to vMix so I can damn well use them. This is VK3EKH, listening on 3541 for any stations wishing to check in.
VK3GL, VK3 Hong Kong, VK3JR, VK3SPX, VK3BIN, VK5 Kilo Tango, VK3 Bravo Sugar Fox.
Excellent. We've got VK3GL, VK3HK, VK3GJ, VK3JR. I wrote JK. VK3JR, VK3SPX, VK3VIN, VK5KKT, VK3BSF. Anybody else?
VK3GOD, VK3 Golf Oscar Delta.
VK3GOD, and there was another station there? VK4 Alpha Lima Hotel, is that right? Righto, not a problem. At the top of the list, VK3GL in Bunyip. Have a say, Gray.
Good evening, Clint. VK3EKH, VK3GL. A very pleasant good evening to everyone who's checked in. Some good signals around. Your signal here on 80 metres has been consistently 25 to 30 dB over on the broadcast there, Clint, so 80 metres is in pretty reasonable shape tonight. And I was just having a look at the general noise level is down a bit this evening as well. Yeah, generally not too bad at all. Thanks for the broadcast. Some good information there once again. And some good articles that you chose to provide and read out. Maybe one question for you, and I don't know whether or not you know off the top of your head or something you might have to research, but I recently saw a post, and I'm probably wishing to validate it, albeit that I did do a little bit of a search on it. There was apparently a maximum number of sunspots that's ever been recorded on the sun. And there was a report that we were only one or two, or there had been a report that we're only one or two sunspots away from the maximum ever recorded. So I'm wondering whether or not you happen to know anything about that, and given where we are in the upward trend of this current solar cycle, whether it may well be that we may exceed the maximum ever recorded. So that might be something to keep a bit of an eye on, but certainly the radio conditions have been well and truly enhanced because of the solar activity. 20 metres at times has just been almost open like it was back in the heyday, 24 hours a day. So yeah, it's been good so far. Anyway, thanks again for the broadcast there, Clint. Looks like you've got a fair lineup to get through tonight on the callback session. A pleasant good evening to everyone who checked in. VK3EKH, VK3GL Bunyip.
Thanks, Graham. VK3GL in Bunyip. VK3EKH returning, and I'm about to lose my voice. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hang on. That's better. Oh dear. Yeah, thanks, Graham. You're a mightily strong signal here yourself. I didn't check it, but you sound loud enough. So you're coming through with bells and whistles. And yes, look, I've heard something similar. Now, I don't know if it's something I read out tonight or not. No, it's something I remember reading somewhere or hearing exactly the same thing, that due to the fact that solar cycle 25 is still to peak, and the accumulated solar flare activity or sunspot activity is still being recorded in its totality, Yes, there is some likelihood that Solar Cycle 25 will probably break a few records, or at least a record. Keep listening to the Friday night session, and you'll hear about it here when it does. I'll see if I can find out some more information on that for next week, Graham. Not a problem. Thank you, sir, and all that. Yes, right. Across to Steve, Mr. VK3HK, VK3EKH.
Okay, Clint. Yes, very good evening to you. Good evening to all the other listeners. Looks like our advertisement earlier on today may have maybe gleaned one or two new listeners. Who knows? Whatever. 35 dB over 90, 20 old boy. You're hammering it. And the new audio, oh man, silk. All that work, it really has paid off. Excellent. Okay, and one of the benefits of seeing you on TV, which I'm doing right at the moment, is that I've discovered you're a southpaw. A little left-handed guy, eh? Okay, over to you. Back to you, VK3EKH. This is VK3HK.
In 2024, I thought we got past all that. VK3HK, VK3CSJ. Yes, no worries, Steve. Yes, I have always written with my left hand. The teachers tried to make me write with my right hand, and at one stage I was able to write with both hands. But it got to a point where it felt a whole lot better writing with my left hand. So there it is, and it works conveniently. It's the pad's on my left-hand side here, and the mouse is on the right side, so the mixer's right in the middle. So it's very convenient. Mind you, that's the way I've made it work for me. Anyway, no worries, Steve. Yeah, I'm not using the Optimod for this transmission, though. The Optimod is exclusively in the Telefunken audio path, so no, it's just the audio mixer here, the Behringer audio mixer, and then there's actually a secondary EQ before the Pro 3 input. So yeah, a little bit of fiddling around here, probably a little bit too much bass. Actually, I've just noticed I've got my bass up on the microphone. That might be a bit too much for things. Anyway, nobody's complained. All right, thanks, Steve. Now I'll catch you tomorrow morning on the Saturday morning coffee break net. Frank, g'day, Frank. VK3 Juliet Radio. This is VK3 EKH.
And what's that white square on your mic lead?
Yeah. Take it, Frank.
I'm waiting for Stephen to finish his little speech.
It's all right. He's referring to a. Excuse me. He's just referring to a clip-on ferrite bead that I'm using on the back of the microphone here to try and reduce any possible RF feedback getting into the audio side of things, which apparently was discovered at some stage earlier today, and it seems to have fixed the problem. But that's related to 160, not necessarily here. But I'll keep it in line anyway. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Good evening to all. Happy to hear that you're a fellow left-hander. We are a very special race. I was made to try to read Braille with my right hand, and I steadfastly refused to do so, and have done so all my life. And I do other things with the left hand as well. Find it to be eminently satisfactory. So there you go. We're a special class of people. Let's not forget it. Yeah, but they're always a highlight, and enjoyed the whole year. Nothing special to report here. You were very, very strong. The band conditions are obviously terrific. It's interesting, we peaked at 227 on the A index, I think, and that's some peaking. Special good evening to you, Ian, and of course Steve also. There will be missions for those interested. Thanks for doing it, Clinton. We'll talk again next week. VK3 EKH, VK3JR.
Thanks, Frank. VK3JR, VK3EKH. Yes, I will tune into the 160 meter test transmissions as soon as I am finished from here. So very pleasant good evening to Steve if he's listening, but probably not. Probably getting his program material all sorted. No worries. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Frank, and a good signal from you, ranging about 10 to 15 over 9. So a little bit of QSB, but coming through quite fine. All right. It's across to Steve, VK3SPX at Barrong, something like that. VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, this is VK3SPX at Barringham. Thanks, Clint. Yes, a bit of an interesting stuff today. The stuff about the stars going out in the sun, which unfortunately won't be a supernova. Not that I'll be around to see it, but out to the sun is just a boring star, really, isn't it? But anyway, so no big humongous bang at the end. But you wouldn't want to be near a gamma ray burst, would you? That's so at the US Space Force was interesting, but personally, I prefer the Netflix version of Space Force. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was hilarious. Now, on a more serious note, you mentioned the Voyager 1 golden record, which I put that link up. So I couldn't resist doing a bit of research, Clint. So you're right about the audio. So Carl Sagan was given the job of collating the audio and the greeting, but he was pretty busy, and his wife, Linda, got the job of doing most of it, and she died in November last year. Anyway, there were two sets of audio on that record. The first audio section was spoken by Kurt Waldheim, who was then the Secretary General of the United Nations, presumably before he was outed as a Nazi. Later on, they might have regretted that choice. And then the second section was greetings in 55 different languages. And English actually came last. The recording is about, let me see here, it's just about 4.5 minutes long. And the last greeting is in English, and it was spoken by Nick Sagan, Carl Sagan's son. So you're dead right about that, Clint. Anyway, I quite enjoyed
I'm dead right.
And seeing what all the different people said. Apparently it was all very rushed, and they ran around trying to find people who could speak these 55 languages, and so they basically hunted up everybody at Cornell University who could speak these different languages, and then people rang other people and said, do you speak this, that, and the other thing, and they finally got it all sorted out. So 55 messages with 55 languages and just a few missions that they couldn't organise in time. Anyway, very interesting. All right, thanks for the broadcast, Clint, and hi to everybody else. And we'll see you next week with a bit of luck. VK3EKH, VK3SPX.
Thanks, Ian. Steve, VK3SPX, VK3EKH. It's very good. Thank you for that information there on the record. I wasn't aware of his early wife there passing away. Have to find out some information on that one. But very good. So yes, I thought I was right on that one. Anybody who's who's watched Starman a lot of times. John Carpenter. I was trying to think of his name. The director, John Carpenter. It's about the only film that he's done that was worthwhile. Mr. Carpenter. He hasn't done too many films. Halloween being one of them. But Starman was potentially a really good story. In fact, it was very good. And I always remember those opening scenes anyway, with the music playing as the Voyager one's going through the universe. And of course the term, or you're hearing greetings from planet Earth. So if you watch Starman enough times, like I have, you tend to remember these things. It's like I've always enjoyed watching Poltergeist, the very first original Poltergeist that wasn't directed by Steven Spielberg, but had his hands all the way through it. And the opening sequence of Poltergeist is the American national anthem. And of course, I've seen that film so many times now that I know the national anthem more than I think I know the Australian one. One of those things. If you're a movie buff like me, I suppose you tend to remember these things. Enough of that rubbish. Anyway, thanks, Steve, for calling in. And interesting QSB on your signal too tonight on 80 metres here. It's just this very gradual, gentle wave on the signal. It's very pleasant to listen to. Who's next? It's Ian. VK3VIN Kangaroo Flat. This is VK3EKH. Thanks, Ian. VK3VIN, VK3EKH. Not a super strong signal tonight. You're hovering around 5 and 9, peaking to 10 dB over. Yeah, just a little bit in the noise, but still copy everything you were saying. So yes, I tend to agree. There's a little bit of interesting conditions on the band tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how VK4ALH is hearing us up there in Queensland. Yeah, all very good. Okay, yes, well, I thought you were going to say you were a bit distracted by the footy, but that's all right. Yeah, I can understand that. I'm not sure which team won tonight. They weren't really neck and neck either, but I think the other team won tonight. Doesn't matter. All right, thanks, Ian. And yes, you must get that antenna up in the air more. It's interesting observation that you see between 20 and 40 metres. But that's probably to be expected. Once upon a time, I think 40 metres was considered like 20 metres is today. 40 metres is international shortwave comms. Yes, I think 20 metres still holds that status of being the best for international comms. Anyway, thanks, Ian. It's now across to the other Ian, VK5 KKT at 2 Wells. This is VK3 EKH. Have a say. That's what I wanted. Thanks, Ian. VK5 KKT in 2 Wells. VK3 EKH returning. Very good. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if we ever get visitations from extraterrestrials, then they ought to keep on going and don't stop. Yes, I know what you're saying, and I don't think Klingon was part of the language set up on that record. In fact, when the record was printed and made, I don't think there was much in the way of there was some Star Trek happening, but not the way it is today, and certainly Klingon wasn't as considered a language like it is these days, and it is. They've made a language out of it. It's quite possible to converse in Klingon if you can get the dialect right. It's a funny world, isn't it? Anyway, no worries. Ian, you're about 5 and 9 here, about the same strength as Ian, VK3 VIN. So, but we're hearing you quite well, so not a problem at all. Okay, thanks, Ian. Across to Peter, a local station, VK3 BSF, VK3 EKH. Yep, it'll just go on forever.
Any other intelligence would hear it, and they'd probably get it and say, "What's all this gibberish on here? Who made this stuff? And why did they do it?" Left-handed, gosh, the nuns would have had a word with you back in the old days at my old school in Gawler that I went to. If you wrote with your left hand, you got a quick rap over the knuckles with a ruler. That was the devil's hand. You could not use your left hand. I kid you not. My daughter was left-handed, but fortunately she wasn't in that era. Yeah, the nuns didn't like it at all. Port Adelaide won by 7 points, if you wanted to know.
7 points.
And look, I heard this on the internet, and I'll repeat it. I asked my granddaughter, what does Argomeddon mean? And she was feeling a bit stroppy that day, I could see it. And she said, I don't know what it means. I said to her, what? You don't know what Argomeddon means? And she said, no, I don't. So what? If I don't? Not the end of the world, is it? What about you, Clint? VK3 EKH.
Oh my goodness me. Yes. VK3 BSF, VK3 EKH. It's a good one. Yeah, the only thing you could do there was introduce it to the Bruce Willis movie of the same name, Armageddon, which is just pure fun, pure science fiction. A lot of things there that just over the top. But anyway, it's good. It's good. One of Bruce Willis's best. Anyway, won't go into it. Anyway, all right, no worries. There's something. Come on, there's something. Oh, you're left-handed. Yeah. Thank goodness I never went to that nun school. I would have been a very different person, I think. No, I only ever went to public schools. The Dandenong East, wasn't it? Yeah, Dandenong East Primary School in Foster Street is where I spent the first 6 years, and then went straight to the Dandenong Technical School for the next 4 or 5 years, and so there it is. But no, I do. I mean, I remember having to learn with my right hand at primary. And I know at some stage there I was able to write with both hands, but I just thought no, I'm more comfortable with the left. So there it is. I've been saying that too much tonight. Anyway, thanks, Peter. Across to Robert, VK3GOD, VK3EKH. Thanks, Robert. 5 and 9 here into Narre Warren South tonight. And thanks for the... I'm losing my voice. Thanks for the kind notes report. Excuse me. Oh, dear. All right. Now, across to... I'm not sure of the name. Anyway, VK4 Alpha Lima Hotel in Rockhampton, I believe, according to QRZ.com. VK4ALH, VK3EKH. Have a say, mate. He's just there. Ooh, it's a bit tough, that one. VK4ALH, VK3EKH returning. Yeah, sorry. You're right in the noise. You were definitely stronger when you first called in. I mean, I was able to get the call sign pretty much straight away, but I can just barely hear you there. So I'll just try one more time. VK4ALH, VK3EKH. Listening? Nope, Zippo, as they say. Sorry, the signal has dropped. So send us an email. Just send us an email, vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com, and we'll find out who you are that way and whatever report there is. Anyway, thanks for calling in. You're in the logbook, as they say, and that's the main thing. Okay, is there any other stations wishing to check in? This is VK3EKH listening.
VK3AA, but I was in the VK459 plus 10 here, so I could relay. He wanted to know what time you start the session. He came in at 10:30. So anyway, you normally start at 10, don't you?
That's you, Brett, is it?
It is. You're name dropping. Yeah, it is. Three again. Another old boozer.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, okay. So you're hearing him pretty well. It's just because you've got a better noise floor than I have. My noise floor's hovering around. Hang on. Yeah, it's right on S9 here at the moment, right on S9. So I bet you're somewhere much lower. 10 o'clock, the usual time. If he goes to the QRZ.com page, QRZ.com, VK3EKH on QRZ.com, you'll find out all the information about the broadcast here and what it's all about. But yeah, 10 o'clock on 3541. We kick off every Friday. So I gather he's hearing me reasonably well, Brett. I guess. Go ahead.
He had you 5-6, Clint.
Oh, that's got to be good. All right. No problems at all. Like I say, just check on the QRZ.com page. But certainly 10 o'clock every Friday night, 3541 kilohertz is where we kick off for about an hour or so, courtesy of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. It's, like I say, it's been running since 1988, off and on. Okay, is there any other stations wishing to check in? VK3EKH. VK2 Yankee Hotel Papa, I think it was. Very pleasant good evening to you there, James. You've called him before, I'm pretty sure. Oh dear, I'm losing my voice. Sorry, apologies. Have to say, James, VK2 YHP, VK3 EKH. Right, VK2 YHP, VK3 EKH. A little tricky to hear you, James. I know that you're in Nimbin, and I'm fairly certain you have called in before. I was just going back in my logbook here, trying to see where it was that you last called in, but my logbook is all over the place, honestly. But anyway, no worries, James. Look, your signal's not very strong. my noise floor here is right on S9, and you're something less than that, really. so a little bit hard to copy everything you're saying. But just in case you haven't called in before, like I was saying before, just check the QRZ.com page. Just type in VK3EKH in the QRZ.com page for any information that you want on the station here, and what we've been doing here for every Friday night. But apart from all that, look, thanks for calling in. You're in the call book, logbook, as well as the call book, I guess. And hopefully maybe you can call in next Friday and the signals might be just a little bit better to hear you. We kick off at 10 o'clock. The broadcast starts at 10 for about an hour. And it's like I say, it's on behalf of the Astronomical Society of Victoria that we do all this. I'll just take one more listen, but I can't guarantee if I'll be able to copy you very well. Unfortunately, James, sorry about that. VK2YHP, VK3EKH. Thanks, James. Not a problem. That was a little bit better from you. Just still right on my noise floor, but I copied every word, so not a problem. Thanks, James. Good on you, mate. Thanks for calling in. Excellent stuff, and all the best for the weekend. All right, this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, concluding transmissions for tonight, this 26th of April. We'll be back next Friday to do it all again. And hopefully we'll get our audio levels just a little bit better. So with everything, we haven't the YouTube stream has actually hung in there tonight, so I'm very pleased about that. It hasn't tripped over once, so very good indeed. So on that, this is VK3EKH concluding transmissions for tonight. Thank you for listening, everybody, and I'll just run this little voiceover from Rolf, VK3 LL, one more time and see how it goes.
You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South.
Yeah, I can see how that was a bit too much on YouTube. That would have been a bit distorted. So we'll get those levels fixed for YouTube next week. Cheers, everyone. Take care. VK3EKH with VK3CSJ on the microphone, concluding NQRT. Aha! See? Thanks, Ralph.
Your audio sounds good here. The bass is okay. It's not too strong, Clint, so you can leave it as it is.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's the audio level on YouTube through the vMix program. It's a bit too much, so I've got to make sure the level into the YouTube side of it's correct. Thanks for that, Brett. Where's my mouse? There it is. Oh dear, I've been bombed by the announcer, the voiceover man. All right, now I shall finish on YouTube and get that all concluded. So yes, getting my levels right again. Again, apologies for if the audio on YouTube was a little bit on the rough side in places, but I did try to curtail that for this session this week, so I think most of it should be all right. This is VK3EKH for the Astronomical Society of Victoria, concluding on YouTube and I guess via Melbourne TV repeater. We'll be back Sunday morning to do the broadcast, In fact, I can probably run I haven't got that caption. The Sunday morning, I'll be doing the WIA broadcast at 18:25 on 1825 kilohertz AM at 9 o'clock Sunday morning with the Telefunken transmitter. You can see me behind me here, the master transmitter, and then at 10:30 the again repeating the WI broadcast, the video adaptation on the repeater, courtesy of Bevan VK5BD, and then of course 8 o'clock again on Sunday night. The Old Timers broadcast won't be this weekend, but it'll be next weekend. So we haven't received the any files yet for that. 1st of May is Wednesday, so yes, the 6th of May will be the broadcast, and of course I run it on Sunday morning. Okay, having said all that, we shall finish off for tonight. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the signal reports, and everybody on the Discord chat window there. Thank you for checking in as well. This has been VK3EKH with VK3CSJ on the microphones. Cheers for now. Stand by for colour bars.